Onto another big section where a lot of major faults can occur on the driving test. The response to signs and signals section. Signs are road signs like this stop sign, where we must come to a stop. The most common signal will be traffic lights, which we'll have a look at first. Traffic lights can begin to change to red at the most awkward time for us as we approach, at that point where we maybe aren't sure whether we should continue or stop. So, if we are unlucky with the traffic light timing, how would it be marked? We'll see examples of what minor and major faults look like, and also come up with a strategy of how to judge whether we should stop or not. What we could do instead is pay more attention to the lights and simply ask ourselves whether we'd stop if the traffic lights changed at the point we're at on the approach. Here, for instance, if the lights changed now, we'd have plenty of time and distance to stop. If we slow the clip at the moment the lights show red, a significant portion of the front of our vehicle was not past the line. We could even still see the stop line for a couple of frames while it was on red. Essentially, we have gone through a red light, which is of course a major fault. We say it should be the front part of our vehicle that needs to be past the line, because with lorries or long vehicles the front end of their vehicle may go through on a green light, but by the time the back end clears the light may have gone through the amber phase, and onto red. There is a delay in the lights before the other directions turn to green built in to allow longer vehicles to clear. Here, we see two lights in succession. For the first ones, plenty of our car is past the stop line by the time it goes to red here, so if it was thought we had time to stop, would be at worst a minor fault. For these ones, it's a different story, as by the time it goes to red we are not even slightly past the stop line, so it would be a serious fault. Because both faults happen so close together, and they were of the same type, response to traffic lights, only the more serious one would be marked, rather than both. Rather than wait until the traffic lights have changed for us to make our decision, we could decide before they change whether we are going to stop or not. So here, for instance, if the lights change now, we'll stop since we have enough time to. Obviously, we had plenty of time to stop. That was an easy one. If the next lights change now, we'd stop again. Let's see when we would ignore them and carry on. We would start to ignore the lights at the last point where we could safely stop before the stop line. This can depend on whether there are vehicles following close behind, of course, which we'll look at shortly. With other vehicles close behind, we'd need to consider the effects of making such a sharp stop. Checking behind. Will the vehicle behind be able to stop too? Probably not if they are following this close, so we should ignore the lights a little sooner than in the previous clips. This is the last moment we'd be able to stop safely with the vehicle right behind us. We'd also need to consider the speed limit of the road, and the speed we are traveling at. This is a fast road, so it would take us longer to stop. We should allow more distance before we choose to ignore the lights than on a slower road, but this was clearly too much distance on this occasion. This was likely due to indecision on the candidate's part, rather than just poor distance judgment alone. There is a small window of overlap where either decision would be okay. For the first two lights here it's a pretty close run thing. It would have also been okay to stop if there weren't anyone close behind, but going through, on this real test, we didn't get any marks for this from the examiner. Don't forget, at temporary traffic lights imagine the stop line will be next to the red sign, like in this clip. Let's say the lights started to change now, to amber, and then red. We have the red sign. When red light shows, wait here. So what we should do is imagine there is a stop line along the road, level with that sign, like this. So if the lights were red, and we had time to stop before the red sign and this imaginary stop line, then we must. That'll do for response to traffic lights. We should make our decision as to what we are going to do before the lights change. Next we'll look at response to traffic signs, which are basically just road signs.
So that's left, then right?
Even at the beginning of the test, things can go wrong with regards to traffic signs. This is the first proper junction coming out of the test center, and it can be confusing as to where to position a car.
We'll stop there. We're on the wrong side of the road. We'll reverse back slightly and then drive forward to keep to the left side of the bollard, so steer to the right for me as we reverse.
So, we might notice the road markings as to where we should position for the junction, but the fault was that we didn't obey the traffic sign on the bollard saying that we need to keep left of it. Yes, here's where we should have ended up. Other examples of incorrect response to traffic signs could be if we fail to stop at a stop sign. Even rolling through at less than 1 mile per hour would not be a stop. So we must fully stop to comply with the sign, as we do correctly here. If we went through these no entry signs, that would of course be a serious incorrect response to traffic signs. A more minor example of incorrect response to traffic signs could be if we didn't get our speed down in time for a lower speed limit, but only by a little bit. If we missed by a lot, it could still be serious. Some examples of response to road markings now. We could still do the left turn in a reasonable fashion if we move to the left lane, even here, when the bus lane ends, but we stay in the right-hand lane right up until
Turn
the
left.
turn, which is a major problem because the arrows show we can't turn left from this lane. Even though no one was on our left side, it's still serious, as we didn't have good reason to disobey the road markings.
At the next roundabout, turn right, third exit.
Trying to move into the right-hand lane, but there is a van hovering just behind our blind spot, so we're hesitant. We could have put the signal on here, to let them know our intentions, then they may have backed off. Now we do get over, but the road layout has changed. There's a third lane now, which is the one we would need to turn right, though it takes us a bit too long to notice and we remain in the lane to go ahead, so here we should have just gone ahead, but we still try to turn right with the van there. The assessor has to intervene.
Sorry, we must go ahead in this lane. There was a van on our right.
This was a dangerous fault, rather than serious fault, as another road user was affected by our actions and the examiner intervened by taking control of the steering wheel. Some other incorrect responses to road markings could be failing to notice giveaway lines at a crossroads and blasting through, without having slowed sufficiently to do observations. Another one could be if we'd used the left-hand lane to go ahead at this roundabout, when it was a left-turn-only lane. Or using the left-hand lane to turn right at the end of a one-way street when road markings don't allow. Entering filter lanes too early, such as if we'd entered where the red circle was, that was a lane for oncoming traffic, and not for us. Use the road markings to see when to move across. This is an important one, as this junction leads to the test center. Yellow box junctions. We must not enter and wait in a yellow box junction, unless we are turning right at traffic lights, Our exit is clear, and we are just waiting for oncoming traffic. Failing to notice giveaway lines after traffic lights on cut-through turns. If we didn't bother to look at all for traffic to the right at these giveaway lines after the traffic lights, then it could be marked as junctions observation instead, but the reason for any mistake here will probably be due to not noticing the giveaway lines. What's traffic controllers all about? Well, traffic controllers can be lollipop ladies. Or blokes. Yes, they are still a thing. If one steps out into the road, we must stop a safe distance of around a few meters away. Police officers may have to direct traffic if there's been an accident nearby. We should look for whether they are telling us to stop, or beckoning us to come through. Construction workers may have to use stop-and-go signs to control traffic through roadworks if there is a problem with the temporary traffic lights, or there are none available. Traffic officers, including police, may get our attention in order to get us to pull over. No, it doesn't mean follow them on Instagram. It really happened. Finally, response to other road users. This could be if another vehicle flashes their light several times at us to go, we can, but we should be careful to double-check it's safe. If a person operating a vehicle is using arm signals, we should react accordingly to the bike rider here telling us they are slowing down. So that covers response to signs and signals. Next time we'll have a look at faults specifically to do with junctions.